The children are back, the teachers are back, but not all the teachers came back. God rest their souls, the ones that passed. But more importantly, we want to ask questions about this particular rescue of the Oriire children and their teachers. We've had comments, remarks by the principal of the school, whom I see as a very brave woman, being able to put herself together under the circumstance to even have pressers is quite commendable. But she's given us some insight as to what really played out. And I'm sure there's a lot she can tell us a lot more later. But for now, I'm sure they just want to let her rest because the traumatic experience, you don't want to imagine it. But let's bring in someone who has played a key role in Nigeria's security at different points in time. Former Commissioner of Police in Lagos State and also former Special Advisor to the Oyo State Governor on Security, CP Fatai Owoseni. Thank you so much, CP, for coming on the program.
Good morning. Great viewers at home. Good morning.
Good morning. I want to start from a very curious point. If I understand properly, correct me if I'm wrong, yesterday I think the governor gave his broadcast, said as many things he said, but one of the things he's looking out for is independent investigations beyond our shores. A bit curious, why do you think he's going that path?
His Excellency Governor Makinde has expressed, leverage on his rights, freedom of speech, and of course, as the Chief Executive of the state, he has his own opinion. But as a security person, or a former security person and a professional, I think I don't think that's the proper thing to do. The case is still fresh. The security people have said they are investigating. Suspects have been arrested. The international system has more things to concern themselves with other than this. I don't think it is right for us as a people that any small thing and every small thing people would say, oh, United Nations should come and intervene. It's because they've not seen it before. There is no country where the United Nations has participated, even in peacekeeping. Some of us have been there before, that they found a solution. But I don't think that's the right statement that we should be making now. We should allow, proper investigation to be conducted. This is not the first state that this kind of a thing will happen, but the governor has his views, and of course, I know the security people, the investigative body are doing what is right, and like I said, it's
apparently there may be he's having high level suspicion, but if I remember correctly, he talked about, I think, a day after he had declared his intention, a few days after he declared his intention for run for president, boom, this happened. So do you think, I know you're not him, but I'm just trying to let's see how we can rationalize this as much as possible. This is politically motivated to make a mess of the situation for him, because I think I saw a video where he was talking about when Chibok girls happened, everybody was blaming Goodluck Jonathan. Now, when this happened in Oriire, everybody's calling the governor. So why shifting the goalposts? Why double standard?
The people that are ruling us should live up to their responsibilities. The Constitution is very clear. I have said it before in some other interactions that I had. I don't think it's right for any of our state governors to keep on, apportioning blames and looking for what is not. Yes, this is how we keep on giving narratives and keep on talking about state police is the silver bullet that will solve a problem. No, please. Except they are saying that the commissioners of police in the state are lame dog. The commissioners of police are not lame dog. I was there before. So we should stop passing balls and, do what we need to do. And of course, when you are going to take the mantle of leadership, one thing is very clear. The Constitution is very clear. The The national apparatus has its own responsibilities. The subnational have their own responsibilities. So we should live up to the responsibilities under the Constitution and stop looking for excuses. In all these things, were there signs that we could have things like this or not? There have been ominous signs, and all these guys that strike, terrorists, for example, they would have sent in foot soldiers to do a recce of the area they want to strike. Kidnappers would have, sent people to go and spy before they would know that, okay, this is a vulnerable places. We are talking of so many ungovernable places. So we should stop either ethnicizing, politicizing, or using religious sentiment to want to solve our problems. The basic things is good governance. Once you are able to place good governance, there won't be any reason for anybody to be looking for excuses. We should stop giving excuses. We should live up to our responsibilities and do the right thing, ensure equity, justice, rule of law, fairness are put in place. Even all these things that are happening with the issue of all this Islamic sect or whatever, we are just scratching the surface. We should go to the root cause of all these things. It's not about saying politics, but like I said, we're a country where everybody just wants to say what he wants to say or what she wants to say. But it is for us as a people to know that this is not our problems at all.
Well, CP, your candor is unmistakable. And before I ask my real question, I'd like to find out if your views on the governor's position would have been different if he still served as his special advisor on security. If we had asked you the same question in your capacity as Governor Makinde, special advisor on security, would your views be different?
I've been consistent in my views, even when I was in the police. When you wear uniform, and of course you are placed in position of responsibility, do what you need to do. I have mentioned before, I was in Lagos, I was in Benin. I did not run to anybody to take action. Everybody that was in the state where I served would tell you that as Commissioner of Police, I did not, stop lamenting and bemoaning whatever. It's for you to do what you need to do. As a leader, you don't start giving excuses. Play your part first. I was there. Yes, it was just barely a week after I resigned that this thing happened. As the state been doing things, I would give it to Governor Seyi Makinde. Prior to this time, we've been proactive. Even that axis, the old Oyo Park, we've always done clearance operation. The governor has always funded it. Is it that failure of intelligence? Did we not gather enough intelligence? Prior to that time, it's the same axis that we had the issue of the forest guard people that were murdered, that they attacked. And I went with His Excellency. We saw what that place is. The place is really ungovernable. This is a place that when you are going there, you have to probably use your car, your vehicle, to create path to drive on. A journey that should take you 30 minutes will take you about 4 hours. This is a location where even when terrorists or criminals or abductors get in there, if they are killing people there is no way to reach out of the place. No communication, nothing. It's not only in Oyo State that we have this. And we also have that axis that we are saying, illegal mining has been thriving. The state, Governor Seyi Makinde, has been making efforts to see how we can control illegal mining and whatever. But what I'm saying is that I will still continue to say the thing. I have been constant in my views about when you talk of security, it is the primary responsibility of government. When they say government is not just the federal government. It includes the state government, it includes the local government. I used to have interaction with local government chairmen that you are the governor in your place. And of course, the people themselves too. So let us not be playing politics or whatever. I would not do that. If I do that, the Almighty God will not forgive me. We have to say what is right at all the time.
Are you saying that Governor Makinde did his bit with the combing of the Oyo National Park prior to the abduction of the Oriire 44, well, at the time 47, but as things progressed, perhaps he could have done more, and he shouldn't right now be politicizing the kidnap incident? Is that what you're saying?
Look, like I said, and you have said it, whatever I say now could be interpreted to be political, but I'm talking of myself now as a professional. We've always done constantly, at least since 2019 that I started working in the state. We've been proactive. We've been constantly doing what we call clearance operations. The garrison commander has always led that operations. Even when we had issues, we've tried to bring in Kwara State into it. But when it comes to security, it's if it's your architecture, if the process you put in place is not tested, you won't know where you have gaps. We've had incidents that are not up to this level before that we've solved. But when you have this, it's for you to look back. What is lacking? How do we work together? How do we collaborate, even with the people? How much of confidence do people have in us? There is, actually some gaps that were there. So I won't read political meaning as a professional into what has happened. I would not read any meaning into it. It's just that, oh, yes, let's accept that we have failed somehow in either intelligence or whatever. And how do we come back to resolve this? How do we also sensitize our people to say if they see something, they should say something? The people that struck would not just strike in one day. When we had the Abolongo prison attack, people said it to say, look, days before then, some people were looking around the wall of the prison. They were digging hole on the wall. Did anybody tell us? When we had Okeo, the same thing, the robbery at Okeo, we had people that come to say, look, some people, elements who are strange to the community have been in the community. So is it that we failed in this regard with regards to what happened with this terrorist act or whatever? So I don't believe in blame games. No, not at all. We should face what we need to face.
Yeah, CP, yes, I don't think anybody should play the blame game as general, because security is everybody's business. But the reason why this keeps coming up, because even the president, Bola Tinubu, when he was not president, did ask Jonathan to resign over issues that has to do with national security. So it's only natural that people are saying now that he's failing under you or assessed to be failing, you should also resign. Why are you blaming the governor? I'm not saying he's blaming the governor, but I think that's where the narrative about the governor and the president, whose role it is. But we're also happy that state police is coming, so nobody's going to give any excuse anymore. The president will have his job cut out for him. As always, the governors will have their jobs cut out for them. But let's talk about something that has to do, what I'm worried about as a Nigerian and as a journalist. We understand Ansaro was responsible for this, and we know their affiliates. To think that they're not going to try this again, maybe even know you. I think we understand it's school teacher, a school principal was even kidnapped the other day, not too long ago, still in Oyo State, and they are demanding for some ransom. So that tells you these guys are not, they are not backing down anytime soon. What kind of lessons are we learning here? Because there were extraordinary measures in terms of the MO that was deployed to make sure that this operation was super successful. Do you think the MO that was deployed is sufficient enough for us to say we may no longer see mass abductions? Or what do you think about it?
No one can guarantee that the security. Even the developed world, developed countries, in security, there is no 100% whatever. You can't guarantee that. You must step up at all times to make sure that you are ahead of your enemies. What matters most is what lessons are you able to learn? the thing are not the situation, the terrain are not the same thing. What we have in Oyo State may be different from what they have in Borno State. You listened to the GOC yesterday, and he said something. He said even when we deploy drones, we found out that we cannot even penetrate as such. You know, like I have mentioned before, in those days, we have what we call the modus operandi file that we study to know, okay, this element, what style, what methods do they use in carrying out the activities they carry, and you learn from there. So you cannot guarantee 100% that it will not happen, but we should be, ahead of all these guys. And I must also tell you, you mentioned when you started to say, now that we're going to have state police, excuse me, it's been worse in our situation. The state police that is being politicized, there is no reason, no genuine reason that has been given with regards to our state police. If we continue to give that the narratives we are giving with state police, yes, we should have state policing. We should have a whole society security, a whole society approach to policing. But if it is the narratives that our leaders, our politicians are giving out, we have failed already, because those narratives, the premises upon which they are anchoring the state police, will not solve any problem. It will worsen our situation.
CP, I'm curious. My apologies, CP. You have said something important. What is this narrative? Maybe you dwell on that for a moment so we understand what you're saying.
One of the main narratives that our politicians and our leaders have been given is that when you have state police, the people that are policing you will be close to the community. They will know the environment. Excuse me, I was in the police, and I want to take a bet on that. Go and do a research. Most of the police state commands, go and find out the officers, even the rank and files that are serving there. When I was in Lagos, there were people that we met in Lagos that have been in Lagos for almost 20, 25 years. If you have worked in a place for 10 years, is that not enough for you to know your environment? They were saying that quick response. Is it the men that do quick response, or the infrastructure that you provide? Road network, all those things. Even if you put thousands of policemen that are from that locality, you are not going to solve any problem now. And of course, they've not even looked at the history of the police. You understand, our policing system is different from the other countries. The basis upon which the Nigeria police was created as an instrument to oppress the natives then, that is still what we have. Some of us have argued that, do we even have a Nigeria police? If you look at all the other services, Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force, the police is still answering Nigeria police. That is to say that we've not even have our own indigenous police, and they keep on coming to give all these narratives. What our leaders are interested is in just sheer control, sheer power. That is not the basis upon which this debate should be anchored. We should think beyond all those things. That is the way I look at it, because all the narratives don't add up. As someone that I want the shoe, all those narratives don't add up for me.
I'm sure at your level, CP, you would have seen at least I've seen parts of the House of Reps document in terms of the amendment to the Constitution. I've also seen the full from the Senate, read a couple of it, which is the one that is particularly important to all of us. And then there's supposed to be a harmonization to the state houses of assembly. They put all these, guardrails for the excesses you've complained about. Whether those guardrails will work in terms of implementation, we are yet to see. And it's very unfortunate that such piece of legislation that wants to amend our ground norm is not subjected to public hearing. I don't know whether that's not the procedure that is required, but parliamentary procedure at this level for this kind of legislation should have some input from the public. Some people in the public haven't even seen a copy of what is called the state police, and it's a shame. But where I'm going to with all of this is, what would you propose besides state police?
A whole society approach. The first thing that people will mention that in the United States of America has about 2,000 police and law enforcement institutions, such that in Channels TV as an entity, and I will tell you that our constitution and the Police Act has envisaged that, such that in Channels TV, your whole premises, you have your security unit. That your security unit will be integrated into the security architecture of the state, of Lagos State or FCT or wherever you are. So if you have a University of Lagos, the security department there would also be like a police formation that will be properly integrated into the system. So what we are doing now is just scratching the surface. We are not really looking. You must go back, institutional memory. How did we get there? Have we resolved what made us to get there, which we've not resolved? You are also talking of a federal system. In some of those countries, there are what they call centripetal force and centrifugal force that brought them together. What is our own? Is it centripetal? Is it centrifugal? So you cannot place something on nothing. You cannot put a building on a wrong foundation. We are putting this issue on a wrong foundation. So I will propose, let us sit down and adopt a whole society approach, such that even the vigilantes, like I used to flaunt, that in Oyo State we introduce what we call integrated security architecture, where we say handshake with the state actors and the non-state actors. And when you are doing all this, you must also bridge the gap in trust between the people and the government. So this is what is required. It's not just thinking that state police is a silver bullet. I disagree. Yes, we should have it, but we should go further than that. You should also talk of good governance. The Universal Declaration of the Human Rights in its article define what good governance is. Are we doing that? If you don't do that, public good for providing public good for the general public, are we doing that? We should go back and look at all these things. Rule of law is that process. Equity, fairness, justice. We should also look at even all these things that are happening. Another election cycle is coming. People are recruiting thugs for campaign and whatever. After the election, these are the thugs that they've harmed, that they've given weapons to, that you will not now compensate very well, that your opponents will go and hijack to attack you. These are issues that Nigerians must resolve to. I believe that most of our people, or some of the people that are ruling us, they are just fooling us. They are insincere, and they don't care about what the public says, and that is why they are going about this. Someone has said, we don't have leaders, we have dealers in this country, and that is the issue for me.
Well, interesting thoughts coming from a former police commissioner. So, as a quick follow-up, what would you say is wrong with the current system, or what can be done to reinforce the current system? You've mentioned good governance, you've mentioned the vigilante, even the current police force. What can be done to improve their capacity and their wherewithal?
It is all out there. There have been so many committees that are set up for reform of the police. Some of them, at least I know two of them, white papers were written. Have we implemented them? No, we have not implemented them. One of the major ones is the Damadani report, the late Paris Osayande 2 report. We have all these in the archive. Nobody is looking at them to see, how do we, improve our training. I can tell you that for some years now, some of the capacity building programs, training of officers that should be done at that college in jobs, they've not done it for some time. What is the quality of the people that we are recruiting? There are the police regulation makes clear provision for that. Who can even sit down and tell us now to say this is what it takes to keep an average policeman in order for him to be able to perform? I have said this before. As of the early 80s when I joined the police, it wasn't like this. The police had all the wherewithal, which is no more available. You don't see police rank and file going with rifles on the road to go to their beats. They will use the police Land Rover or the police lorry to go and drop them. And you keep on proliferating security agencies without, looking at, okay, what is wrong? We don't have any standard, even when vehicles are provided. Who is fueling them? Is the poor policeman that will go and take out of his salary to fuel police vehicle? What is the level of armory? What is the welfare system? You can see how we are trying to resolve the issue of retired police officers going about on the street of Abuja demonstrating. These are people that you frustrated while in service. You are still frustrating them when they're out of service, and you want performance. Nowhere is that done. When you are giving salary to people in some other climes, you will look at the job specification. You will do evaluation of job in order for you to determine how you pay people. But you have a system where the people that are carrying gun has no voice. They don't know, because they cannot even talk together and come up to say this is their plight. Have we resolved all this? Even when we are recruiting, do we recruit enough such that it's like the police is the merchandise at this period, and you are putting another structure to come and mess it up the more? No, it won't work. If you don't repair the Nigerian police, if you don't repair the police, you will not solve the problem of insecurity in this country.
Well, some would say perhaps the ship has sailed on this particular one, because the state police amendment bill is about to become law, following events at the National Assembly, where we have promises for onward transmission to the 36 states houses of assembly for assent. But there's something also very demanding of our scrutiny amid the Oriire rescue, which I would like you to weigh in on, especially as we're talking about lessons derivable from that experience. I'd like you to tie it to the Ekiti, 40-something, the ones rescued in Ileje-Meje local government area, against the backdrop of others that are yet to be rescued. Some would say the Ekiti, had no state intervention, that the community members had to raise ransom, that was paid to ensure their release. And the Kwara kidnap victims, some of them are still in captivity. By the way, they were kidnapped since February. So what was different with that of Oyo? Because we're talking about politics shaping this particular Oyo experience. So what was different with these other kidnap incidents? Because these are APC states, and one would say that perhaps their rescue there should be more resolve, more determination that should have been seen shaping their own rescue. What are your thoughts on this?
That is where I feel that the subnational, the different governors at different levels, attitude of some of our governors are different from each other. There are some that, forgive me without prejudice, that are lackadaisical. If you have a state where the governor is more responsible and responsive to certain things and is able to provide some of the wherewithals, rather than, saying I'm running to Abuja, sit down with his security operatives in the state and, map out strategy. It may work faster. That is what. Then how do you bridge the trust deficit? Because in the case of Ogbomoso, this last incident, I must say it is not because I'm from this state. Everybody showed concern. People are ready to volunteer information. We have been doing that here. So information matters. These guys are not kept, they are not spirits. People will see them. And it now depends on how these people are able to translate that to intelligence for those operatives that will work. And again, in some of these things, the narratives that are given out, you mentioned that even yesterday an headmaster was kidnapped. That narrative was given out as if this headmaster was picked in the school. This is an headmaster that was coming from his farm. We are not saying it should happen. Nobody has even reported to say, oh, his release has been secured. So some of these narratives sometimes don't help us. So the difference is how much of cooperation you have from the community and how much of readiness the state is there to support. I continue to say it without prejudice. When I was in Lagos, Lagos State Security Trust Fund operates in such a way that whatever the gap from the federal government, they were able to breach it to an extent. And we leverage on that to do what we were able to do when we were there. So it's the people and of course whoever that the leader in that state that would also determine how soon or how late some of these operations can be carried out successfully.
CP, thank you so much for your insights, for coming through as well. CP Fatai Owoseni is the former Commissioner of Police in Lagos State and is former Special Advisor to the Oyo State Governor on Security. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bukola.